We're going to go through position groups as we get closer daily. Let's just start with the biggest one, right? Their wide receiver group. Romo Dunze is fantastic. Jalen Polk is also a guy that's probably not going to go in the first round like Romo Dunze, but he can easily be. He could be a guy, honestly, that does slip into late end of the first round, but he'll definitely be a day 2 pick. And Jalen McMillan's a guy who missed a lot or missed half the season, but he came back strong, had 9 receptions for over 100 yards against the Oregon Ducks. Michael Penix Jr. gave Jaden Daniels as close of a run in the Heisman as we've seen in a long time. And he's gotten a lot, of the spotlight this year for the Washington Huskies, but it's really this 3-headed receiver duo that's going to be in line to give our defense some fits. We know how strong our defensive line is. We know how strong the run game is. But there have been questions, whether it be Ryan Watts' health, whether it be the youth we have on the defensive backfield with Terrence Brooks and Malik Muhammad being arguably our number 2 and number 3 corners. Our safeties having excellent games sometimes and then sometimes kind of falling flat. So to me, this is probably the biggest position group battle and the breaking point of the Sugar Bowl. If asking to shut down Roman Junze, who's a pro, right? Who's a 6'3", 220-pound monster, and is not only just so great with the long ball, but can break tackles and can really run a lot of routes. Asking to shut him down and cancel him out completely can be wishful thinking, but really sticking it to me to those other 2 guys and having, guys like Gavin Holmes step up and having Barron and having Thompson step up and really create some help, locking down Polk and locking down McMillan as much as we possibly can. They're limited. That's going to be a real key for me in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot of inexperience out there in the secondary, a lot of youth, and they've stepped up. At the end of the day, they have. But I there needs to be a solid game plan to corral this offense because I mean, look, we've seen it. Like Penix can let the ball go, and they can have a 500 yardage day. What I want to do is I want to force them to run the ball, and they've got a great running back in Dylan Johnson as well. I mean that guy rushed for over 1,000 yards, had 14 total touchdowns. I think that he's a guy that could be a game changer for them, and they want to be a team that can prove that they can run the ball against this Texas defense too. But if I'm us, I'm trying to shut down the pass as much as possible in the looks that I'm giving, where maybe I'm rolling out a 4th defensive back out there and making them run the ball because I trust our front 7. I really do.
Yeah.
Those guys can put up. And look, Penix isn't the most mobile quarterback. He definitely, can rush the ball, but it's not like he's the type of guy that Jaden Daniels is. Penix on the year has negative 18 rushing yards. So like he really hasn't rushed the ball at all. He's a pocket passer. So, the struggles that we've had all season long were with guys who can also run the ball and throw the ball. Dillon Gabriel, our only loss, rushed all over us. So if we can just keep him in the pocket, I have faith in our defensive line to create pressure because I don't think that their O-line has seen a defensive line like ours this far. The pressure that we create is nothing compared to what they've seen in the Pac-12 or all the way around. Nothing they've seen in the Pac-12 is compared to what we have. So I think that'll give our secondary somewhat of a break on these receivers. But yeah, I mean, anytime you're going up against pros, like it's a tall task, but you got to rise to the occasion because at the end of the day, this is good game footage for you to become a pro one day.
Yes. And I again, like I think it's a really good point. We talk about our DBs, Jalen Ford, if he does drop back in coverage, he's a linebacker, obviously, but he has to really step up. But Terrence Brooks is probably the biggest key. He's becoming, as I think more and more about this game, he's becoming the player I'm keying in on. He really had a fantastic season. He in 43 targets this season, he only allowed 18 receptions, which is good for 42%. He led the team in pass breakups, was second in pass breakups, behind Muhammad, behind Thompson. And he really had a fantastic season. He had 3 picks, and he's only a sophomore, which we're so happy about that we get to have him back next year. But he may be tasked, depending on Watt's health, with guarding a guy like Rome, or with getting, or finding himself in single coverage with a guy like Polk, who's again a professional receiver. So yeah, these guys are not. These guys are
missing Derek Williams for the first half because of that targeting call. So
exactly, it's a looming penalty. So guys like Taft is going to have to step up. Thompson, Barron, again, who I've mentioned, like this is really going to take a team effort. They're going to throw 7 different kinds of smoke with us. Their tight ends can catch the ball. Their 4th receiver can catch the ball. But this real 3-headed monster of Polk, McMillan, and Roma Junze is going to be super dangerous. And I think it's getting glossed over in the media a lot with the hype of Penix and the hype of this Texas team, the excitement that Texas is back in the college football playoff, or isn't it? Sorry, in the college football back in general, but in the college football playoff for the first time, I think this three-headed monster is being overlooked.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think if we're smart, we're not overlooking it. But I mean, if any time that you got a player on your team that's mentioned to potentially be a top 10 draft pick, top 15 draft pick the following year, you got to pay close attention. And Rome is going to find himself on a team next year, and make a lot of money and potentially be, you know, a top fantasy draft pick for a lot of people. I mean, I think he's that talented. He can right away be first receiver taken, maybe second behind Marvin Harrison Jr. But still, I mean, it's going to be an interesting task for our guys to step up. But I think we'll rise to the occasion.
Yeah, me too. I would love to see some sort of double. I think Muhammad is a little too inexperienced to be guarding him, but I would love, like, if Watts is healthy, that's all Watts. But if he's lingering a little bit, throw Watts out there, maybe on Polk and let it some kind of duo of Brooks and Thompson or Brooks and Barron take care of Rome.
And on the flip side as well, I mean, our receivers versus their DBs, I mean, it's going to be the same thing for them. You know, they've got a Muhammad on their side of the ball too, who's a DB. Interestingly enough, I mean, it's the most common name in the world, but it is what it is. But
thanks,
I mean, at the same time, like, we've got two guys right now that could potentially go at the end of the first, early second. You know, even Jay Witt might find himself getting drafted, you know, in the fourth or fifth round. So they've got a tall task as well, and it's a different type of task because I think what they're used to in the Pac-12 is, you know, one wide receiver that can just beat you deep, you know, mobile quarterbacks. With us, man, I mean, we've got so many ways to create space for these wide receivers, whether it's screen plays, bubbles, reverses, you know, jet sweeps, slants, like you go with the deep ball. I mean, I just think that there's so many different route combos and trees that they run here that are unique to college football. I mean, these guys really carry themselves as professionals. I mean, say what you will about Xavier Word, these drops, he's a tremendous route runner, and of course he's got blazing speed. But at the end of the day, I mean, this should be a really fun battle between both position groups.
I agree. I think, I think, you know, all the compliments we give to Sark, you know, and about creating these routes and creating these plays and putting our team in that position. The Washington Huskies do the exact same thing, right? They're always running really creative routes. Kalen DeBoer is such a good head coach, and you know, you always find guys like Rome, Polk, and McMillan. They're always using their speed and their ability to really move, and they're always running it, like, not like the Dolphins, but like kind of similar to us, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're always have guys in motion, and I saw a lot of that when I saw them up close and personal at USC. So I think it's almost, yes, our DBs have to go up against their wide receivers on the field, but a battle of whose receiving group can really dominate more and who can get more creative and gutsy in the play calling, I think, is also another one that we'll have to dissect as we keep going forward. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully some more announcements happen in the recruiting trail. We'll cover some more positions. Maybe we'll do a little defensive, offensive line tomorrow, which will be pretty fun. And keep in mind, we still have some big guests to come before the matchup on New Year's Day in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. Fisher, DJ Nicky Snacks Kreider, with his oldest Longhorns hat on his head from back on the sidelines. Me, I'm rocking a random Seattle Supersonics hat. But I will be back in my Longhorns gear tomorrow. We'll see you guys. Get your horns up. Hook 'em, baby.